Good evening. Welcome to Election Night in America 2022. Tonight, the United States Senate and House of Representatives and the National Governors Association will be decided through the choice of the people. And here is the current Senate makeup at the start of the night. 30 Republicans and 36 Democrats. 51 needed to win control of the United States Senate, or 50 if you are the Democratic Party. And this is the National Governors Association. Ignore Virginia and New Jersey being on there. Ignore that. But anyway, the National Governors Association currently holds 8 Republicans not up for re-election and 5 Democrats not up for re-election. And it is now 7 p.m. on the East Coast, and the polls have closed in 6 states right there. And we have our first projection of the night in the Senate. Todd Young going back to the Senate in Indiana. No surprise there. In Kentucky, Rand Paul going back to the Senate. In South Carolina, Tim Scott going back to the Senate. In Vermont, Patrick Leahy going back to the Senate. In Georgia, the polls just closed in Georgia. We have a key race alert there. Too early to call in that Senate race between incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock and Republican challenger Herschel Walker. And this is the current Senate at the hour. 33 Republicans and 37 Democrats. And we have some governor calls as well. In the state of Vermont, Governor Phil Scott going back for another term. In South Carolina, Henry McMaster going back. In Georgia, too early to call. Republican Vernon Jones running against Democrat Stacey Abrams. We'll see what happens there. And this is the current NGA makeup. 10 Republicans to 5 Democrats. And this is the current House of Representatives makeup. 8 Republicans and 3 Democrats, 218, of course, the seats, of course, needed to control the House. And it is now 7:30 p.m. on the East Coast, and the polls have closed in Ohio, West Virginia, and North Carolina. In the state of Ohio, too early to call that Senate race there in Ohio between Democrat Tim Ryan and Republican J.D. Vance. We'll see what happens there. In North Carolina, the Senate race there, Democrat Sherry Beasley going against Republican Ted Budd to replace retiring Republican Senator Richard Burr. And for Ohio Governor, Democrat Cranley going against Republican Renee Shee for the governorship. In the House of Representatives, 14 Republicans to 6 Democrats, 218, of course, needed. It is now 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and the polls have closed in several states. We have several projections from that poll closing. In the state of Alabama, Mo Brooks going back, replacing Richard Shelby. In Oklahoma, James Lankford going back. In Illinois, Tammy Duckworth going back. In Maryland, Chris Van Hollen going back. In Connecticut, Richard Blumenthal going back. In Missouri, this is a key race alert, the Senate race in Missouri. Scott Sifton, the Democratic candidate, going up against the Republican candidate Eric Schmidt. In Pennsylvania, Senate race there is too early to call. Representative Connor Lamb going against former representative candidate in 2020, Sean Parnell. We'll see what goes on there. New Hampshire, Senate race there is too early to call. Incumbent Democratic Senator Maggie Hassan going against the current New Hampshire Republican Governor Chris Sununu. And in Florida, the Senate race there in the state of Florida, incumbent Republican Senator Marco Rubio going against his Democratic challenger Val Demings. And we have governor's projections as well. In Tennessee, Bill Lee going back. In Alabama, Kay Ivey going back. In Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt going back. In Illinois, J.B. Pritzker going back. In Maryland, this is actually a Democratic pickup, Rusher and Baker going to replace term-limited Larry Hogan. In Connecticut, Ned Lamont going back. In Rhode Island, Daniel McKee going back. In Massachusetts, Charlie Baker going back. In New Hampshire, Kelly Ayotte will win that governorship to replace Sununu if Sununu should become senator tonight. In Maine, Janet Mills going back. The Pennsylvania governor's race is too early to call between Attorney General Josh Shapiro and Lou Barletta, the Republican there. In Florida, the governor's race there, Charlie Crist running as a Democrat against the incumbent Republican governor Ron DeSantis. And this is the current Senate makeup. 40 Democrats to 35 Republicans. Of course, 51 needed for the Republicans and 50 needed for the Democrats to decide control. And in the National Governors Association, 15 Republicans to 11 Democrats. And in the House of Representatives, 41 Republicans to 28 Democrats, 218 needed for control. And we have an update from Georgia. Too close to call right now. Warnock has the lead there, but it's too close to call. In New Hampshire Senate race, too close to call. Look how close it is, separated by just over 2,000 votes there in New Hampshire. Chris Sununu has the lead there right now. Actually, it just updated. As more votes have come in New Hampshire, Chris Sununu has expanded his lead there. It is now 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast, and the polls have closed in the state of Arkansas. In the state of Arkansas, John Boozman going back to the Senate. And for the governorship there, Leslie Rutledge replacing either term-limited or retiring Asa Hutchinson. We have a major projection coming in from the decision desk. Governor Ron DeSantis will be re-elected in the state of Florida. That has just happened. Charlie Crist will not be able to defeat Governor DeSantis this time around. And here is the current Senate makeup. 36 Republicans now to 40 Democrats. 50 needed for the Democrats and 51 needed for the Republicans to determine control. And the National Governors Association, 17 Republicans to 11 Democrats. And it is 9 p.m. on the East Coast here, and the polls have closed in another massive slew of states. Let's go through them all together. In New York, Chuck Schumer going back to the Senate. In Louisiana, John Kennedy going back to the Senate. In Kansas, Jerry Moran going back to the Senate. In South Dakota, John Thune going back to the Senate. In North Dakota, John Hoeven going back to the Senate. In Colorado, Michael Bennet going back to the Senate. In Arizona, Mark Kelly going back to the Senate. In New York, this is governor's projections now. Andrew Cuomo re-elected the governor of New York. Heard some pretty bad things about Cuomo. In Minnesota, Tim Walz re-elected the governor. In Texas, Greg Abbott re-elected the governor there. In Kansas, Jeff Collier, that's actually a Republican pickup. In Nebraska, Michael Connolly. No idea who that is. In South Dakota, Kristi Noem going back. In Wyoming, Mark Gordon going back. In Colorado, Jared Polis going back. In New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham going back. In Wisconsin, we have a Senate key race alert in Wisconsin. Too early to call there in Wisconsin between Democrat Ron Kind and incumbent Republican Senator Ron Johnson. And we have a governor key race alert in Michigan. This is the gubernatorial race in Michigan. Incumbent Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer up against her Republican challenger James Craig. In Wisconsin, Tony Evers, the incumbent Democratic governor there, against his Republican challenger Sean Duffy. In Arizona, Democrat Katie Hobbs against Republican Steve Gaynor for the governorship there in Arizona. And this is the current Senate makeup right now. 43 for the Democrats, 40 for the Republicans. I'm not going to repeat what is needed for control. And in the National Governors Association, 22 Republicans to 15 Democrats. We have a major projection coming in right now. In the state of Florida, Marco Rubio going back to the Senate. You can project. In Missouri, Republican Eric Schmidt will win in Missouri. And in the Senate right now, 42 Republicans, 43 Democrats. In the House, 206 Republicans to 183 Democrats. We're starting to get House results in pretty quickly here. And it is now 10 p.m. on the East Coast, and the polls will close in 4 states. Let's run through those together. In Iowa, Chuck Grassley going back to the Senate. In Utah, Mike Lee going back to the Senate. In Iowa, Kim Reynolds reelected the governor there. We have a major projection coming in from the decision desk. In Ohio, Republican J.D. Vance will replace retiring Republican Senator Rob Portman. In Nevada, Senate race there is too early to call between Senator Masto and her Republican challenger Adam Laxalt. And the Nevada governorship is too early to call as well between Steve Sisolak and Dean Heller. And the Senate makeup right now, 45 Republicans to 43 Democrats. And we have a major projection coming in from the decision desk right now. The Republican Party will will take House control from the Democrats. They have gained 219 seats to the Democrats' 197 seats in the House. We have another major projection coming in right now. In North Carolina, Republican Ted Budd will replace retiring Republican Senator Richard Burr. And it is 11 p.m. on the East Coast, and the polls have closed in 5 states. Let's run through the calls together. In Idaho, Mike Crapo going back to the Senate. In Hawaii, Brian Schatz going back to the Senate. In California, Alex Padilla going back to the Senate. In Oregon, Ron Wyden going back to the Senate. In Washington, Patty Murray going back to the Senate. In Idaho, for the governorships, Brad Little re-elected. In Hawaii, Kirk Caldwell will be the governor there. In California, Gavin Newsom going back. In Oregon, Casey Kula going to be the governor there. And in the Senate right now, 47 Republicans, 47 Democrats after that poll closing. And in the National Governors Association, 24 Republicans to 18 Democrats. We have a major projection. In the state of Georgia, we can project Vernon Jones will be Georgia's next governor. That is exciting news from Georgia. In Ohio, that's meant to say Renacci, not Mike DeWine. That's meant to say Jim Renacci. Sorry for the mishap. Jim Renacci will be the governor in Ohio, not DeWine. Jim Renacci. And we can project that Republican Party will retain NGA control with getting 26 governors, which is needed to win against the Democrats' 18 governors. We have a major projection right now. In the state of New Hampshire, this is a flip for the Republicans. Chris Sununu will go to the Senate, defeating incumbent Maggie Hassan, and it is 1 a.m. on the East Coast, and the polls have closed in Alaska. In Alaska, Kelly Shibaka going to the Senate to replace Lisa Murkowski. In Alaska, the governor there, Mike Dunleavy, will be reelected. And we have a major projection coming in right now. In Pennsylvania, this is a flip for the Democrats. Connor Lamb will replace outgoing Senator Pat Toomey, who's a Republican. And that's a flip for the Democrats in the Senate. Right now in the Senate, 49 Republicans and 48 Democrats. We have a major projection right now. In the state of Michigan, James Craig will be elected the governor there, defeating incumbent Governor Gretchen Whitmer. That is another gain for the Republicans. And in Wisconsin, Sean Duffy will be elected the governor there, defeating incumbent Tony Evers. In Arizona, Republican Steve Gaynor will be the governor there. In Pennsylvania, Lou Barletta will defeat Josh Shapiro there. And that is actually another Republican flip. And in Nevada as well, Republican flip. That's meant to be Dean Heller, but yeah, Dean Heller will be the governor there now. We have another major projection coming in right now. In Nevada, Catherine Cortez Masto going back to the Senate. And this is the Senate right now, 49 for both parties, 51 needed for the Republicans to take control, and 50 needed for the Democrats to retain control. And in the National Governors Association, this is actually the final map, 32 Republicans to 18 Democrats. That's an enthusiastic map right there. And we have a major projection coming in right now. The Republican Party will take control of the United States Senate. Winning the state of Georgia, Herschel Walker will become the senator there from Georgia, defeating incumbent Democrat Raphael Warnock to become the senator. And in Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson going back to the Senate for another term. And this is the final Senate, 51 Republicans to 49 Democrats. Of course, the Republicans have now taken control. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, leave a like. If you did not, well, get out. So anyway, if you did like this, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much. Peace out.